1 in 5 suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. We are Marla and Dave.
Yes.
I am Marla.
And I'm Dave.
I am tired, Marla. I have to just be totally honest because it matters. So if you look at your screen and I look like my lips could use some glossing and my eyes could use some Visine, it's probably true because I've been flying because
we think
I had
you
to get
look
here.
just fine. We think you look just fine. We want to remind you guys that today's show is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays in cooperation with Loving Beyond Reason and 𝘬𝘠𝘦𝘦𝘱𝘴 San Fernando Valley. And the reason why I bring up all these wonderful organizations is because tomorrow's Giving Tuesday. We need you to make us a priority so that we can keep bringing you this content, all the things that 𝘬𝘠𝘦𝘦𝘱𝘴 does for the world of mental health, all the things that Loving Beyond Reason is trying to do also in cooperation with 𝘬𝘠𝘦𝘦𝘱𝘴 for the world of mental health, but we can't do it without you. We need your donations. So please go to any of those above mentioned or previously mentioned websites and click the donate button starting right away, even while you watch the show.
Wow.
Our guest today, like all of our guests, has a unique story. Growing up in a close-knit Latino family, one could say that she had a normal upbringing, but is there such a thing as normal? 𝘬𝘬𝘦 Diaz will help us look into the pressures of growing up and how they can feel anything but normal. And if not dealt with appropriately, can lead to real emotional and mental health issues. So this is going to be a great conversation
Absolutely.
because we're sure that she's going to tell us about things that we've all have experienced and that she will give us her unique perspective on those experiences. So when we come back, our guest is 𝘬𝘬𝘦 Diaz.
Stay tuned.
Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the 𝘬𝘠𝘦 effect. Hope starts with you.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something.
Welcome, 𝘬𝘬𝘦,
Welcome to the show.
So I didn't want to seem too glossy in that introduction, but, you know, as I was reading about your story, it seemed like a regular, normal life. You grew up in a wonderful, close-knit family. A lot of families have issues that could strain the family relationship, but you and your sisters grew up in a loving home. And
How many sisters?
So I have 4 sisters. I have a twin sister.
But
we're a total
identical?
of 5 daughters.
Are you
identical?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it true that identical twins can they don't even have to speak words, they just know what each other are thinking? That's a real thing, huh? It's not just Hollywood.
Well, before we get
Wow.
into this interview for authenticity, are you or your sister?
Ah.
Aha! You thought you would trick us. You're not 𝘬𝘬𝘦. You're the other one.
Never gonna know.
That is actually true. So, well, we're glad to have you on the show. Please paint the picture of growing up in the Diaz family.
So growing up, we're 5 daughters. We're really close to our parents. Like even now as an adult, people are like, "You're really close." But I was really close to my dad. So unfortunately, my dad passed last year.
Oh, wow.
But growing up, we were really close to him. Like he did everything for us. He would take us out, like individually out on dates because he wanted to know who we were as individuals. Even me and my twin. He's like, "You guys all have your own different personalities." He already knew like our own triggers. Like he knew everything about each of his daughters. So growing up, you know, we did fight a lot. I mean, 5 girls, you know. But after when my dad got sick, he got sick about when I was in high school. So I was probably about like 15, 16. He had a stroke and he had a heart attack. And then he had a brain surgery, heart surgery, seizures.
Wow.
So that's kind of when it all, you know, kind of like the real world hit us. And we're like, you know, we had to step it up as his kids. And after he got sick, we all took care of him. My mom took care of him. Like our whole lifestyle changed after he got sick.
Wow.
Like my mom threw all the bad food out and everything. And I really know my dad lived as long as he could because my mom took care of him. And she always told us to take care of him. And he was like the best man best man I know. Like he's whoever I am is because of my dad.
Okay,
I love that.
I have another off the road question. Has that dictated to you and any of your sisters your dating choice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a very high standard, a high bar, I would say. So only 2 out of the 5 are in relationships right now. And I think that does take a toll on it because we want someone like my dad. Like, he was very respectful of us. And growing up, he always told us, like, I don't care what race, what ethnicity. Like, he even told us, like, if you guys are openly, like, gay, you guys come to me and I'll accept whoever it is because I want you guys to be happy and to be respected. And he was always that big on respect. He's like, I don't care who it is, and he was the most understanding man I knew.
Wow.
So I think that's why we're so understanding, and we're, you know, like, so when he got sick, we had a lot of his friends and family come to us like, you know, your dad helped me up, like, with groceries, with money, with rides, like, and we didn't know this about my dad because he's such a humble man.
Yeah.
So it really, like, I was like, I want to be like him. Like, I want to be like my dad, you know. So, like, losing him now, I love talking about him.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like he's still here. You know, but we're all my sisters we're really close, but after my dad passed, we got even closer. But I would say, like, my anxiety did start when my dad got sick. Like, I did, like, so all of us suffered from anxiety because he would have seizures like at 2-3 in the morning sometimes. So we would wake up, and, you know, the first time he ever had a seizure, my mom's like, he's dying, and she's like slapping him, like, Mom, you need to stop hitting him.
Wow.
She's like, you know, like, your dad's like, I'm like, Mom, stop. And then eventually, like, I would say throughout the years he got better. And he started eating good again, and we were kind of like had a normal life again. And then I would say, like, 5 years ago, he started getting sick again. And then we were like, okay. And then 2 years ago, we found out he had stage 4 heart failure. So when they told us that, they're like, you only have 1.5 years left with him. And we're like, what? Like, no, like, and we really didn't believe it. And every single day we literally lived like normal. Like, he did, even if he felt sick, he's still like, let's go out. So we did everything we could with him.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to go to snow, let's go to the snow.
And I know he wanted it that way as well. So.
Yes, and I think that, and it was hard. It was really hard. I think that was really hard growing, like, being us trying to always be happy for him, but us knowing that we were gonna lose him. But we didn't think of it that way. We were like, you know what? We still have him here. Let's enjoy him as much as we can. And he never made us feel like, you know, he literally was like dying right in front of us, but we never felt that way.
Right.
Because he always told us, like, you need to live life to the fullest. He was a person we always would go to. Our relationship problems, about work problems. I mean, he knew everything.
Well, I have to tell you, Leslie, what you don't realize that you've just done, personally for me, is I am so glad that you led with this story because it's an inspiration to me. And having a different relationship with my dad, it just makes me, it makes my heart feel warm. And I feel like, you know, how blessed, I'm glad you're sharing the blessing and keeping his memory alive, because to know that there are men that are like that. And he was clearly the original girl dad. You know, now that, you know, unfortunately, after we lost Kobe, that was a big conversation, you know, the support for his daughters, and your dad was the OG. He was the original. He was the OGD, the original girl dad.
Absolutely. So now let me ask you this, Leslie: did all of you experience the same level of anxiety, or did it hit any one of you harder?
Different. I would say all of us the same. Maybe my older sister the hardest, because I feel like she took that role where she had to be always the one that had to go to the hospital, make the appointments. When the bills had to be due, like, we had to be like, how are we going to pay for everything? You know, she was the one that had to take that role. So we always look up to her too. Like, she's like one of my biggest role models too. And it's weird because when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I actually had, like, I wouldn't say a bad relationship with her, but me and her would always
clash.
Because she was also, I guess, in that parental role as well. As a sibling. So, yeah.
So I understand it now that I'm older, but when in 20s, I would be like, oh, she's just being annoying and telling me what to do. Like, and she would always be so hard on me. So I now understand it.
We get that loud and clear. We got this is actually, I'm glad this conversation is starting off with a bang. We have much more to talk to Leslie Diaz about. We will be back after this message. Stay right there. Don't move.
When Dave and Marla get together, it's hot.
You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
Mental health problems and substance use disorders sometimes occur together. According to mentalhealth.gov, this is because certain illegal drugs can cause people with an addiction to experience one or more symptoms of a mental health problem. It could also be mental health problems can sometimes lead to alcohol or drug use, as some people with a mental health problem may misuse these substances as a form of self-medication. Mental and substance use disorders share some underlying causes, including changes in brain composition, genetic vulnerabilities, and early exposure to stress or trauma.
More than 1 in 4 adults living with serious mental health problems also has a substance use problem. Substance use problems occur more frequently with certain mental health problems, including depression, anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, and personality disorders.
If you or anyone you know is dealing with a dual diagnosis of a substance use disorder and another mental health condition, please seek professional help. This message is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays. I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
Okay, we're back. So we were talking with, just to, for those of you who may just be joining us, our guest today is Leslie Diaz. And, I really love the conversation of the stresses in a life that most would consider to be, normal. 2-parent home, parents who love you to death, and all of these things that life itself can cause some challenges and challenge your mental health. And so Leslie is sharing how that came to be and her understanding of that for she and her 5 sisters, four sisters outside of you.
Yeah. So Leslie, we want to dive a little deeper. When did the anxiety become overwhelming enough that you felt that you need to get some help?
I would definitely say probably after my dad got diagnosed with the stage 4 heart failure. I was starting to obsess over little things. Like I would wake up at 3 in the morning and worry about like the gas bill, the light bill. Like we luckily, like all as adults now, we all like chip in, to help with the mortgage, with everything. But I was starting to just wake up and I couldn't sleep. And this was happening a lot. And then I was starting to obsess over little things, like little conversations I would have with people. I'm like, did I make them mad? And I just was starting to obsess over everything, like any little thing that I was doing. And it was when my dad got sick. And then I was like, I have to go see a therapist because I can't live like this. I couldn't focus at work. I was like, I can't do this. So I started seeing a therapist, and she's like, and then the advice she gave me was saying that I was obsessing over things that I could control. And she's like, because you're having real big issues in life that you can't control. So she's like, try to write things down and try to find days for yourself. Because our whole life did revolve around, making sure my dad was okay too. But then I was like, okay. And then, little by little, I started, I do a lot of mutual aid work where I do fundraisers. So that takes up a lot of my time too. So I was like, I need to find something that makes me happy. So that really makes me happy. When I started fundraising and I started volunteering for different nonprofit organizations, like helping foster kids, undocumented immigrants, I started to find different projects that made me happy. So I was like, because being with my dad when he was sick, it made me really sad. I would be, and my anxiety level was bad. So I was like, I need to find something that makes me happy as well, outside of my life.
When you were at your most critical point where you actually reached out for help, were you formally diagnosed with anxiety at that point, or you just were having symptoms of anxiety?
So I was having symptoms of anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did express to her that I was having anxiety, and she agreed.
She could see it right away.
And I have to just tell you one more time, just reflecting on your father, you're talking about what makes you happy, and you have inherited a heart of service, which it sounds like your dad was. So just something that I can hear right off the bat, and just want to point out another thumbs up, and just to encourage on a serious level. So
still making him proud. Still making him
absolutely.
proud. So did anybody else in your family also go to therapy, or were you the only one?
My twin started going to therapy after my dad passed away. And I know they told her that we have a very close family. So me and her, the advice they gave her was maybe little by little to not be so close, because when we move out, it's going to be hard. And I think we've been doing that. So we actually should have shared rooms for all our lives. And recently we're like not sharing rooms. And we actually have different set of friends now. I mean, she has a boyfriend. She's in a relationship. And that took a toll on our first relationships ever. That took a big toll on us. We were always mad at each other. We would like argue all the time. But now it's better. I mean, we're older now.
So you have telling me that you've socially distanced yourself from your sister? Did she move across the hall? Are you like, you know what? Don't look on my side of the hallway. I'm straight. Really. Stay out of my room. Don't look over here. Don't look at my door.
They're like, it's going to be really hard for you when she moves. I'm like, we're going to buy a house together. What do you mean? No.
we have.
Well, maybe not together. Next door.
Next door, if we could, But we're very close. And that's the thing, too, is like, I think a lot of the times when I was sad or I was going through a lot of things, like my sister I didn't even have to tell her. She already knew by the way that I was acting. If I was like, having a bad day, I would have like short temper, or I would just cry, and she already knew like how to make me feel better. She literally could just stand in the same room with me, and just having her there would always make me feel better. So I'm very fortunate in that way, because I have someone to always talk to, and she never judges me either. So I could just tell her. I mean, I tell her everything, like even the things that I don't want to tell her sometimes. I'm like, oh, she's gonna be mad that I did this, or but she also inspires me every day to be better. I think I am the person I am because of my sister. Like I always tell her, if it wasn't because of her, I'd probably be this crazy girl.
Hilarious.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know, who knows.
Just out of host curiosity, who's older between the two?
So I'm older by 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
So you're the older sister. So you've taken on the burden of the relationship. Did you were you guys in there trying to decide who's going to come out? No, I'm first. You wait. You wait.
I probably pushed her out. I told her like I have a more aggressive personality than her. And
right.
She's talkative, but I'll be like, okay, let me do the talking. I've always been like more like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Well, I can tell you this, Leslie, that you can't see because you're engaged with us as we are you. But I'm also engaged in our live chat room, and you have a lot of love coming your way. I have to just quickly before we get out of here, I'm gonna shout out some of the people who are sending you all kind of love. 𝘬𝘠𝘦𝘦𝘱𝘴. Yes.
Oh,
do you know Denise? Okay, there you go. So just to name a couple, I'll get to the rest of you.
You're well supported.
Slow down.
You're well supported. Before we get to the next break, I just want to say this. Kudos to you as a young person. Having the presence of mind to seek therapy. I know in the African American community and from a lot of our guests from the Latino community, that's not a very popular decision to make, or even one that comes into the purvey of something that we should do until really big problems and really, really bad things have already taken place. So that's another thing that I want everyone to understand, Leslie, that we're also proud of you for as well.
Absolutely.
That right there when you felt the need, you didn't hesitate, you didn't say no, it can't be me, you went out and you got some help, which is what I was saying at the beginning when I was introducing you, is that if you let those little problems linger around and just they get bigger and bigger, and if you don't deal with it, it will lead most definitely to problems that are become pathological and harder to deal with. So we're going to take another break. But don't go anywhere, those of you who are watching and listening, because Leslie has much more to share. We'll be right back. All right, the fun music means it's poll time. So I'm going to ask Marla to remind us of the poll question we asked last week.
Oh, Is it because I'm wearing a sweatshirt today that you didn't ask for the pole dance? Is that what the deal is? I'm inappropriately dressed for the pole?
Well, I thought you might be too tired, as you said when the show started, to actually do the dance. But
well,
if
that's
you want to
because-
cut a rug,
No.
by all means,
No.
we shall wait.
I'm dressed for the North Pole, so let me just read the poll question. Last week's poll question was asked, and Leslie, I want you to pay close attention because you always get first stab at doing this right here live. What percentage of state prisoners have a recent history of a mental health condition? I'm going to repeat that so it can go in one smooth sentence. What percentage of state prisoners have a recent history of a mental health condition? A, 11%, B, 17%, or C, 24%?
Now, last week we asked our guests, and she actually got it correct. So
Will
if you
you,
were
Leslie?
watching last week, you would know what she said. But Leslie will give you a stab at it as well.
And
What
don't look-
percentage of state prisoners have a recent history of a mental health condition? 11%, 17%, or 24%?
Your sister can't help you. Go.
24%.
Ding,
There-
ding, ding,
Oh,
ding,
look at
ding.
you.
Yes, that's an
Informative
unfortunate.
and smart.
That's an unfortunate statistic that our prison system has become, at least here in California, the biggest mental health institution as well. The poll question for next week is: what percentage of people who suffer from depression have a higher risk of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases? What percentage of people who suffer from depression have a higher risk of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases? Your options are A, 20%, B, 30%, or C, 40%. So you can guess again, Leslie, but we won't say the answer till next week. So
But we want your guess.
you have a week of,
B.
you say B,
Yeah, I'll say B.
30%. So your options were 20, 30, or
40.
40%. Leslie has said she thinks it's 30. Stay tuned next week when we reveal the answer. And since it's Giving Tuesday, we want you guys to remember our social media sites for Mental Health Mondays. It's MHM with Marla and Dave. Donate there because we need you. Go by loveandbeyondreason.org. Hit the donate button. Donate there, as well as NAMI San Fernando Valley. Be right back.
By the way, I see you in the chat room, Leslie's supporters, friends, and family trying to help her cheat. I can see you. I want you to understand that. Leslie's not looking at you, but Marla is. And I see what you're trying to do here.
Leslie has established she's a good girl, so she's not looking at your answers.
And I said, I was looking at her eyes. I'm like, if she looks across the hall, I know she's looking at her sister's room. I'm not going to stand for this. Not on this show. Anyway, so go ahead, Dave.
Oh, so I was just, I think before we went to the break, we were extolling the value of the decision that you made to go to therapy when you did. Do you have friends or other family members who did not take that choice, who actually are dealing with issues that you think that the therapy could have actually helped them with?
Yes, I do know. I feel like a lot of my friends or a lot of people I do know have gone through stuff, and I am a big believer in therapy. I never went to it before, but I think just talking to people, watching shows, even being on Instagram, I feel like I always would read on things about mental illness, and everyone always says like go to therapy, even though I feel like even if though you're not diagnosed with a mental illness, like people always have mental issues. So it's like going to the doctor, like you go when you're sick, but sometimes like I'm always good on my doctor. Like I go physical, I go for everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like the therapy is the same way. Sometimes you just need to go and talk to someone that's not going to judge you, someone that's going to give you advice. So I feel like a lot of, even if you might not think you need it, I think you should even go, and you might even find things that you didn't even know about yourself. Because
as well as it's cathartic just to actually get things off of your own chest. Which is one of the things that my youngest daughter said, Dad, when you go to therapy, the tendency is going to be that you're going to act like, why am I saying this? I already know the answer. And to a lot of those issues, you will have the answer. But sometimes just getting it out is the catharsis that you actually needed, as well as, just like you said, you will be pleasantly surprised that the doctor, the therapist that you're talking to, might know more than you. And they can help you with things at places where you're stuck.
And that's interesting that you answered a question that I was going to ask but didn't need to ask it, and that was, do you promote preemptive therapy? Because it seems like that when you reached a crossroad, you went, but now that you understand and you've already participated in therapy, would you encourage someone to seek therapy just for a general base of wellness and check-in, literally a mental health check, not a mental health crisis?
So I have another question for you. And kudos to you for being a community organizer. You're in good company, as our first African American president was also initially a community organizer. So yeah, you're on a great career path, so to speak.
Please run in the upcoming election.
You got our vote immediately.
please leave your room now and prepare for your campaign.
But that being said, how did you find NAMI? Is that the pathway that you found to therapy, or was that after the fact?
My friend Favi, she's a
Favi, yes.
So I love Favi. I think I look up to her so much, and she always tells me the same thing, and I'm like, no, she's always really vocal about mental health, and we've actually worked on 𝘬𝘸𝘦𝘱𝘴 together. She started it a couple years ago, and I was supposed to help her this year, but with COVID I couldn't help her. But she always donates to my fundraisers. I always donate to her fundraisers, and we just work together. Like, that's how every time I see her, I think we're now volunteering or thinking of something, of some way how to help the community out. So that's how I found NAMI, because of Favi.
I love that. So explain to us what a community organizer actually does on a day-to-day basis.
So on a day-to-day basis, I would say I'm always thinking of new ways on how to get money.
Fundraising, really.
Fundraising. So first I find what I want to help, because I think there's so many different organizations that I want to help. So me, as an individual, I used to always be like, what can I do to help? Because I would see these stories that would make me so sad on TV, with kids, with anything. And I was like, I need a change. There's some way we can make a change.
Right.
So I started looking, and I do my research on the organization, see where the money's going. I flood their emails, DMs. I do all my research before I go and post about it. So I usually reach out to the coordinators, directors. So right now there's a foster resource center in Northridge. So I'm working with the coordinator there, and they're foster kids that go there. So I did my first fundraiser I ever did was for $300, and we raised money for duffel bags, because a lot of foster kids just take grocery, black trash bags in their belongings. So that really got to me, because I was like, I've been so fortunate.
Right.
I'm so happy to have such a great upbringing that not everyone has, that privilege. So when I started that, and then now I would say within the last year and a half, we raised over $15,000 in different organizations.
Wow.
This is just mutual aid, no charity. I always tell people, we're not rich. Me and my friends, we're not rich at all. But we have $1, $5, $10. It adds up.
It does.
So and it's every day I'm thinking of what ways we can help. So right now I'm working doing a toy drive for Foster Resource Center in Northridge. I'm gonna start it actually tomorrow. So a day is I'm a bookkeeper at an accounting firm, so I work a 9-to-5 job.
Leslie,
but
hang in there, because we want you to finish that. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Bad.
What are you doing?
You're worthless.
Don't trust them. They'll hurt you. You're worthless.
It's pointless.
When the pain of schizophrenia meets hope, everything can change. Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the 𝘬𝘠𝘦𝘱𝘴 effect. Hope starts with you.
It's raw, real, and unfiltered.
Now, Leslie, as everybody's mother, I'm going to chastise you. You're healing. You're getting better. Are you in quarantine? Whoever that is, tell them to stay out of your room. Put the note under the door and leave. No, I saw you, Leslie.
Well, Leslie, all jokes aside, I promise you, we probably can't get more proud of you and the work that you're doing and the positive way that you have found to channel the empathy that being raised by such a lovely father and mom and such a great family, you were able to channel that and actually give a piece of that back to the world. So kudos to you.
And to promote just overall mental wellness. And I got to finish with your shout outs. Keno, Serena, Maribel. Oh my goodness, Leslie, I need an extra time on here. And Jeanette, if I say your name wrong, then talk to your parents about it. Ariana Nail? Is that Ariana?
She might not know everybody who's watching.
Denise Lugo, Brandy E, Decode, Vanessa Lopez, and Jeanette. The list goes on. I think Mickey, Victoria, Bev. And you know what's so interesting? And I have to say this finally, that it's very clear to me that you walk and you literally walk the walk and not just talk the talk, because everyone in here is literally it's all I see is praise, and that's a good thing, because basically the imprint that you're leaving and that you're contributing is the legacy that is you, as your father has done before you. So we're just getting to know you, but like Dave said, we're equally proud. And I just want you to give us a parting word. What's the one succinct thought that you want to leave us with?
I would say for everyone to reach out for help, even though you might not think you need it, because I feel like everyone has like a mental issue, in a sense of like everyone wants to be better, everyone wants to be happy, and you're not always happy, and that's okay. So I would say always like talk to someone, and just for you not to ever feel alone, because the world is a good place and there are good people, and like I just want everyone to never feel alone.
All right.
Wow.
Well, we're going to let that be.
We couldn't say it any better. Well said.
Dropping the mic.
Thank you for spending some time with us this evening on Mental Health Mondays. Remember, everyone, what we like to say nowadays on Mental Health Mondays is $1 a day can help keep the stigma away. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but it should be consistent. And that way we can actually break this cycle of stigma surrounding mental health and mental wellness. Thanks again, Leslie. We're Marla and Dave. We shall see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Amazing. And we
Thank you so much.
it won't be